really, right?
Yeah, because what happens here is it doesn't really matter they scout you because this rotation is too long for you to go onto them.
Yeah.
So you spawn camp their door, and then this is the area you want to control. So you're basically taking a full rotation to their face, and then you're backing off while still controlling the payload.
Yeah.
So it's a big difference in map charm between how you use defensive edge, because this is a defensive advantage.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the same. Like, every map is a bit different. It's the same how you would do it on Dorado, right? If you were to do it. It's very based on controlling the payload. But here it's the same. You don't want to spawn camp that door if you were to go for it. You would instead control an area where you have an advantage, where you force your enemies to switch onto uncomfortable heroes just to get you out of there.
Yeah.
That is their sole purpose. They push this up. You control this area. You could go onto them depending on what they're playing. And if they don't swap accordingly to spam you out from all sides and then eventually they'll get through, you will full hold. That is the point. It's the same with Junkertown. It's the same with Route 66. If they don't adapt to what you're doing, you will full hold. Like, you're forcing them to adapt.
Yeah.
You're building an ult economy advantage, which is the second advantage that we want. So in the spawn camp, we have a positional advantage. Sorry for that. Noise. Earthquake. Okay, sorry. Right. Nah, it's my neighbor. Like, if he uses the stairs, it's very fucking loud. So you have in Spawn, you have the positional advantage, followed by what comes after that is the how you take a fight. So the fight advantage, because the fight is completely in your control unless they switch, which leads to an ult advantage, which gives you a lot of time to properly take the second fight. And then in the second fight, for maps like this, for example, you will be like around here, which is an extremely crucial point to have. So they already had to fight for this. Now you're making them fight for this. And you have an advantage once again.
Yeah.
And that's how you attack these points. With these advantages, that's how you have defensive advantage. So if you were to apply this to Rialto, because what happens is they capture. And then what you do is, next fight is right here. And that's a very bad position for the enemy to be in if you're just going to them.
Yeah.
And if they have switched to uncomfortable heroes, like for example, if they've switched to full spam with a bastion and everything, that literally just means that if you let them go to here and you decided to take the rotation up here,
Yeah.
you literally jump on them. You didn't switch anything, so you still have your ult economy, and you just jump on them. So if they have a Bastion Far Mercy, for example, then it could be potential that you switch the Creed to a Widowmaker or an Ashe just to zone that out. But that is an ultimate you can miss.
Yeah. It's not
your Shatter and Bomb. Like, your Shatter and Bomb are very high impacts.
Yeah.
If you get value. So in this scenario, you would literally just jump on them. Like, you would analyze the situation. Okay, so we spawn camped. Payload pushes forward. And if they're on Bastion and all that, it means, okay, so that we would have to switch to dive, but I don't want to. Because we have ults, and I want to take that fight. So that means you're giving them a bit more space to jump on them. They will have scouted it, but it doesn't matter. You're still on Brawl. You still have the speed boost. They don't. Yeah. They have a Far Mercy, they have a Bastion. If they have a Torp, it's kind of the same. Like, you're brawling. You don't really care. Like, you're going into a rotation that is closed. And this is a closed area. It means you shouldn't lose too much of your shield because you can just hide in here in order to stabilize. Like, spam doesn't get value if you're hiding in certain areas. It's the same if you were to go under here, if the enemy would allow it. If you go under here and you sit in here, and then it would be the same. They go over here, Payload is here, and then you run at them. The only disadvantage here you have is that you can't leave people up here, because it's nice to leave some people up here, especially if you have like an Ana. Ana staying here together with a Widowmaker over here, when they have a Far like over here or over here, it's very good because the Widow can just jump down here and then Far is done. or your diva could deal with that, and Ana could just nade from there. That's why I started with high ground, but low ground is also a possibility. But that is how you
ideally, you
should
want to
be.
protect high ground.
Yeah, that is how you should be thinking about these maps. Is how, like, I'm only using the payload as an example. I don't even care about the rest of the map. I'm only focusing on this one thing. Do you notice that?
Yeah.
Because this is
You
all
don't
that
care
matters.
like where they're positioned. You play full.
Yeah, this is all that
Where
matters.
yeah.
Like everything else, it's whatever. Like they could go from here to here. I don't care. They're just gonna use everything they have to in order to push every single meter they can get from me. Because what happens here, if you take the next fight with your ult economy advantage, you take that fight, you win, you push the payload back, and then boom.
Yeah.
This is a choke that is extremely hard to get through.
Yeah.
So then once again, you're fighting to push that payload back and make them waste everything that they possibly can in order to get through. Because then here, they would have to switch their comp again. Bastion doesn't work anymore. But they have ults, and then they're like kind of in a weird position for ult economy. And then like trying to force their ults. And then again, you're taking another fight that you can easily win because they're trying to force ults with a comp that doesn't work against you.
Yeah. Okay.
And that is how you want to approach these fights. You want to think about, okay, how can I properly position myself and properly use the map to my advantage? Because you struggle a lot on payload maps.
Yeah.
And then use that to your advantage. Because it's the same here, right? If they were to capture this, you could literally just go to the high ground here. Stabilize here. Cover. Payload goes around here. Boom. Drop down. Problem solved. Second option is going under. Same story. If you're on dive, it's a bit different.
Yeah.
But you have to think about these things. You have to think about the fact that you cannot stop them here, but you can stop them at the end of it. And then you have to think about how do you properly do that? How do you properly take that position to go on them without using too many resources? Because if we're just gonna be here and then drop down and they're still here and you're not trying to take a fight, lots of resources. If you're testing here, you've given up this entire space, which will make me mad, which you do a lot. You're not giving up the space. There is no reason to if you've given up this already. So that's a lot. That's a lot to do with payload maps. It's the same with Dorado, like second point Dorado. You do this so much, it's insane. The enemy yesterday very much recognized what to do on second point, which was good on them. So that means that we could actually see what would happen. In fact, let's just take the video. Let's just grab the video and be like,
yeah, they went for a rotation all the way around.
Their attack. So here obviously we don't do the spawn camp. I was just using an example. You could do the spawn camp here, you don't have to. In tournament I prefer if you don't, because this is still more than enough to hold. Like this is something you really actually have to practice, and I don't feel like it's a good...
If you spawn hold in that door and you get killed off, do you have enough time to get to hold the next choke?
No, like I said, it will be a bit in front of the choke.
Oh, but then you implement the same thing as where you would push him maybe through apartments or something. That might be a bit too far.
No, you would literally
you could go left side.
You would take this rotation, go like this, and then you have this as cover, and then you could go like this. They would not be playing Bastion here.
Okay,
or
but
you could go here.
Or you could go that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that I was gonna. That one makes more sense to me because I mean you wouldn't have to use as much abilities to get to.
Yeah, but this gives you more scouting advantage.
Okay.
Because you do need information. If you're going over here, you see nothing, you see nothing, you see nothing, you see nothing. Oh.
Yeah, okay.
Like I do like having at least some information. So what you could do is all of you go over here and Anna go over here. So the Anna is there.
Okay.
That could be an option because Anna doesn't have to be with you guys. Anna could nade from here. Anna can heal from here. That is something you can consider. Yeah, that is how you would approach it. You would think about what have you done in order to make sure to take as much fights as you can to have them capture just this part. And then it's the same here, to capture this part. This goes for every single payload map. Like you have to make them actually work for every bit of space. That's how Overwatch League is as well. You force them to work for every bit of space that they will get. So here what happens is, well, spam. This is our spam comp, which is fine. This is a good ult economy where we have the advantage of the choke.
We on attack.
Yeah, we're on attack.
Okay.
So this is like normally we play our Winston here, right? Like that is how I normally do
Yeah.
it, our counter dive comp. But against what they're playing, this is fine. It does mean you need to get value. Like how do you get value here?
As a Rhino.
Not just as a Reinhardt, as your entire team. You're
Uh,
now attacking. They have that defensive advantage that I just told you about.
so
So
you
that
want
means
to
we have
take
to
that
get
away
through.
from them.
Yeah, and we have to take it away from them. What do we do? They don't have a
I mean,
Mei.
we
That
could.
is crucial information.
What do we have? I would say we have more of a broadly comp than they do. They have a very more spam compared to us.
Yeah.
So would it not be worth just stacking and like punishing or pushing into the Rhine?
No, because this entire time they'd be spamming you.
Okay. Oh, so we'll be like low on resources
Exactly.
and
You
wouldn't be
need
viable.
resources to do that, so that means you need to do something.
Okay. Okay, so then would that be forcing maybe like rotating some people up onto the high ground and to like get an off angle from like stair side?
Okay, let me show you how you should have done it.
Okay.
Because you do get the right idea, but you're trying to split your team. And I don't want you to split your team against spam, because people will peek. I hate
Okay,
it,
so
but some people in your team
yeah.
peek and they will die. So what happens is you need to stack your entire team. The payload is here already anyway. So we've already gotten this space that we needed. Cool. What now if the entire team does this? They don't have a Mei, once again. And you're now here, and you can see the scout, and you now have 2 exits, plus you can put 20 over here. You have high ground control. Dizzy could put point pressure. You could put a turret anywhere, you could put your torp anywhere, but you can now properly attack, right? You've taken away the high ground advantage that they had. You have now fully forced them to only have choke advantage. But we have ways to get through that. So that means now, the question is, how do we get through that? So I've told you how to take the high ground, but now what?
Are you playing a little bit more like reactively on their rotations if they rotate anyway? Or would you wait for like abilities?
I mean,
Because
we
in
have the
this,
4 steps, right?
yeah.
That's all I
So
wanted to hear. Just 4 steps, like 4 steps. Find, you just like scout, yeah? Find the target. Like, what is the target here?
Reinhardt?
Yes, and?
Okay, key targets. So be Sigma,
Yeah, and?
Bap.
Yep.
Those are the three.
If you manage to get any of these 3 out of position, you're set to go, right?
Yeah.
So we have something they don't.
Yeah, we have an honor and
Yeah.
Brig.
So that means we don't have speed. So that means we need to be able to close the distance. They don't have speed either, without using too many resources. So how do we approach this?
Is this after we've done the rotation onto high ground?
Yeah, like the payload is where it is right now, and then we have taken that rotation. The enemy is still holding choke. So it will be silly for them to give up choke just because we're over there.
Yeah. Could we still not? I don't know, because if we don't have speed, then you can't really just push down the stairs and force that out, can you? Because I mean, then
Nope.
if their Ash rotates properly and their Sigma, then you're just
Yeah.
gonna get screwed.
That's why I gave
So
you alternatives.
that's why it's better to do like almost a split kind of push where you set up people on different parts of the high ground, and then you get somebody for point pressure.
Yeah, like you did say we have brawl, but you're forgetting a key thing. We have spam DPS.
Yeah. Is
So
that
that
why you want to
means,
like have some high ground pressure and just spamming and play for
yeah,
them to use ability?
we want high ground pressure to play for abilities and to force out resources, because we have a nade that can be used, we have dynamite that can be used, we have a turret, and then if it comes down to it and we've pressured them enough, we can drop down, and then we have break with long distance healing.
Yeah.
So this is something that you'll have to think about, because the way we're doing it right now, yeah, they have 2 shields, we don't. They have spam, we do as well, but because they have 2 shields, they're just gonna keep spamming us. And because they have the defensive advantage, which is the biggest issue, you're now relying fully on like people to pop off. But because of the way the fight is going, because of their defensive advantage, they're gonna build ults much faster. So you see the issue, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care too much about them struggling to beat you because they suck. That's whatever. They are forced to ult ults, and that's the biggest thing. They actually get those ults. Like, look at their ults, then look at ours. They have Shattered, they have Falk, they have Sigma ult, they have Bob, they have Window, and what do we have? A Nano.
Yeah. And Shadow. Okay. I mean, but he's already halfway up into his Shadow as well.
Yeah, like this is already his second Shatter. So do you see how critical it is to not take such a fight, because they will just use their defensive advantage against us, and they will use spam, and they will get ults. That is how spam works. Like, you fight for the ults. If you did want
Yeah.
to push through here, you would go full brawl, because then you can Maywall, because they
But
don't.
then,
You
yeah.
have Lucio then, so that means you have speed. But it is not very comfortable to have to force yourself to switch comps, because then you lose your ult economy.
Yeah.
So here you have to make the right decision, which is way more important than switching comps in this scenario, because it's kind of equal. We have the Ana, they don't. They have the BAP, we don't. We have the Brick, they don't. So it's kind of like we have some things that they don't, and they have some things that we don't. Their biggest thing is the fact that they have 2 shields. So you understand this, right? Like, you have to make a decision here, and this decision is wrong. Because we're walking into their defensive advantage, and because of how they build up ults, they're going to use it, they're going to build it up again, and it's going to be very uncomfortable for us to try and take this. And then you have this result. And then we now for some reason, but that's whatever.
I mean, we did manage to punish their push, but
Yeah, they got greedy, but I mean,
the Bob just didn't.
like, I understand enemy greed. It just means enemy is bad, and I don't care about bad enemies.
Yeah.
Like, it's all fun and stuff, but they should have.
I mean, if they played that better, they could have just full hold us there.
Yep,
If we
they could
kept on
have.
doing that.
Like, if you did this again afterwards, because if they just hold here, they're like, okay, everything's done, you stabilized over here. You'd be like, ah, whatever. And then you do this again, boom, same story. They will just ult farm you again. They still had that Bob. You sure you would call it your Shatter, and sure you would still have that Nano. But would it be enough? Would it be enough to go through this choke when they have a full on crossfire against you, fully focused on all the angles? They could even do this against you. Do you think you can get through?
No.
Against a good team?
No. Okay.
So that's the thing, like, I teach you defensive advantage so that when you see it, again, for your own enemy, you have to use it against them. Because every map has a defensive advantage.
Yeah,
Except of King of the Hill, obviously. King of the Hill is a bit different, but then once you actually capture it, like once the neutral is over, you also have a defensive advantage.
Yeah.
But then you have to analyze, okay, so this is their defensive advantage. I know they have this advantage, they have this advantage. Because I'm telling you, obviously.
Yeah.
But also because you understand, right? How this is so difficult to get through unless you either switch comps, which I don't really want, because that will be kind of silly because of our ult economy. And they already are out farming us with ults, plus the time.
Yeah.
So that means we should just win. And that means, okay, how do we do that? And we can take the fact that spam is something that's plays for time. And that is just the way it is. Like, we are spamming, so that means a fight will take a bit longer than what would be, well, very nice, so to say.
Yeah. So what's like a trigger to say that okay, now we can push in? Like, are we just looking out for like BAP lamps, pretty much like shield, like low Ryan shields and stuff like that?
The shield,
Or to be
yes.
even like small things as like ash nades. Is that even like, let's say she chucks it in, we on fire, we wait for fire to go out, and then we push in. Is that like even worth it to push
It
onto something like that?
depends. If after the nade they use too many resources, it means that yes,
Yeah.
after that you go in.
So it'd be like almost like a combination of resources. So like either unless it's like one in big important one, like if they use lamp for instance, I mean then it's obvious just go in.
Yeah.
I mean,
But then it still
depending on
means
the
you have to think about the fact you don't have a Lucio, so it means on their positioning.
yeah.
So for example, if you make them use resources for them to push back here, and Dizzy is pushing this payload a bit to here, you now have the opportunity to go in here.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you can
So
stabilize.
yeah.
It's taking
Let's say
space
like
away from the enemy.
Yeah. Okay, I understand. But let's say they're playing like around the little clock tower area, so the one's still holding the choke. Um, and they were playing the lower part. Yeah, they were setting up that last circle, that place. Okay, now we're setting up on the high grounds, and let's say they use something like lamp, for instance. Now, in
Uh-huh.
this case, we wanna look at engaging on it. We have an advantage, whatever. It's like we engage. That's fine. Now, as a runner, would I be looking? Where would I look at trying to be engaging from? Would it be from like window side? Because then I can always retreat back down main into the choke, or would it be down like stairs and
Okay.
then
Here it's a very
that's
critical thing you're not saying. It's
yeah.
something I did say. It's very important. What is Dizzy doing?
He's gonna be playing for point pressure.
Yeah, so that means if they're over here and they're not contesting the point, Dizzy can hide behind this. So that means they have to contest the point. And what advantage do we have if we force them to touch the point over here and we force their abilities?
Well, I mean, we forced it, but that's the advantage we have. We have an ability advantage, I guess.
They're close.
Yeah.
You don't have a
Oh, and it
Lucio.
allows us. Oh, we have better brawl than them as well. Okay, I see. I see.
Like you have to think
Okay.
about what you have.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
biggest thing about payload maps is the fact that the payload is key. As long as they don't stop the payload, you will push forward, which is very nice. Like you don't care if they don't care. It
Yeah.
just means okay, Dizzy, you go push that damn thing, and cool.
So like if we had to do it in a scenario like what I put out there, so then we'll play on the high grounds, we got high ground control now and we're
Mm-hmm.
spamming. We noticed that they're playing on Cox House, so it tells us to go for point pressure control.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they try and contest the point, then we just push in. We just go. Because I mean then
We
they
do need to make their resources. Like, don't forget, if they're
okay.
going
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
without
Sorry.
using
And so
anything, there's no point.
yeah. Yeah. Then we're still playing for resources, but once they've used the resources, like once they've done the trigger, then we can push in onto them. If they especially if they don't rotate like to like statue or like the green
Yeah, exactly.
vending machine,
Like,
vendor
for
market,
example,
whatever.
if they were to use a full rotation here to stop to go on Dizzy for whatever reason,
I
boom.
mean, that's easy punishable, yeah.
Exactly. Like, that's what you're trying to create. You're trying to create the rotations of the enemy so that you can punish them. That's the entire thing I've been teaching you with these steps.
Yeah.
Now I'm making
Okay,
it way
so
more specific.
yeah. Because I mean, like with the steps, I felt a bit weird. Like yesterday, so I was like, okay, we started. Now
Mm-hmm.
step two. Well, let's say we want to play for. Let's say we're playing a spam comp case. We want to be playing for like spamming and forcing out abilities. And then it was kind
Mm-hmm.
of like the step three on the staging. I mean, if we're playing spam, we're not really staging. You should have done that before. Um, but I
No,
mean,
you can do step 1 and 2
no, no,
before
no.
you
Yeah,
stage. Like
yeah.
you
Yeah,
could have done
I
step
just
1 and 2, and then in
yeah.
the meantime take this rotation, and then eventually
Yeah,
you
but I
would
mean,
set
like
up
when you do
here.
the loop again, because I mean, once you're staged as a spam, you normally scout again, and then
Yeah, you
you
go
constantly
back.
scout it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so like once you've done that loop, then you like now you're gonna go into a rotation or something, and then there sometimes it's like, well, what do we do? Like I can't really think of that at the moment.
Yeah, that is why you need experience, and that's why we're having these conversations.
Yeah,
Because, for example, if the enemy decides to rotate here and they leave one person on the payload, that's enough for you. That means you're gonna do what I said. You're gonna go here, take that space, kill that person if you can. But the most important part is you can take this space. You can stabilize
yeah,
here. You can set up your teammates here. Then what the opportunity you have is okay. So the payload is here now. You can go over here. You can go over here. You could split, like have your Ash wait here while you do that rotation, and then Ash goes out of nowhere, comes from here. Like there's so many options that can go from there. But in the meantime, all you're thinking about is okay, what defensive advantage do they have, and how do we, well, basically end that? Because what you see in Overwatch League a lot is that they just don't care, and then you just see people going boom, 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 boom. Oh, it's over. That was fun.
yeah. See, so they're kind of doing the same mistake as us, where they're just pushing in
Yeah.
for
Like I
no
said,
valid
Overwatch
reason.
League is not very fun at the moment, but thankfully I have contenders to watch, which are very much interesting.
Yeah.
Thank God for
Okay.
tier 2.
And also, like in this scenario, like let's say we manage to get a pick here and we force him out, and you go through the room. If we go push out through the doors, like let's say where I am now, and we went
Mm-hmm.
out through those doors, then also like we control a lot of more space than just the payload. Like we control in front of the payload as well, like its path.
Exactly. Because then what happens
Yeah.
is they have to come from here or here, and because you're controlling the space where you have cover here but not here, all you have to do is
Yeah.
respond. You're still pushing the payload. You need to deny them from reaching this payload, and it just means like you have an Ana long range, you have a Torp which is kind of long range, you have an Ash, it's kind of long range. And the only person that actually has to be with you are the Brick and the Diva.
Yeah.
And that is just an advantage to us. Like if they're doing that, it literally means, okay, you see, and then you go there. And now you're holding this. Payload push forward,
Yeah.
they have to take the fight, but we're spamming. We have that spam advantage. Like you don't want to go in. Very important. We don't want to go in. We just want to take this advantage because we now have an advantage. We have an offensive advantage where they have to go to 2x. Like we basically have them under control. They had us under
Okay, so
control
we
over
don't
here.
necessarily want to be holding them like on the choke, but we want to make sure that we're still controlling the choke. So like we still
Exactly.
have enough pressure in the choke. Okay.
Because you want to spam them. You want to have damage in
Yeah.
there so that your DPS get value. And once there's enough value, that's when you can go in. But
Yeah.
until the DPS has value, you're not going in. Like Brawl is when you go in.
So like I feel like if I had to understand this, especially with the problem of like if me going engaging in a little bit too early, would this also be considering like let's say because in that scenario, let's say they're coming to choke, maybe I pushed up straight into choke and just hold on the choke. Now that would have been bad, right? Because then I would have
Yeah,
been
because you
punished
are
for
not
that.
a good target
Yeah,
to hold there.
yeah.
Because
I
Diva can
feel
get
like I
out.
did that too much. Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
like I did that too much.
like this map is like that match was a bit. It's a bad example because of how they punish you, well, try to punish you with greed, and that doesn't work. Like greed never gets you anywhere.
Yeah.
So that's a bit unfortunate. But the biggest thing is that if you're doing what I just told you, the Diva is very important here. The Diva knows what he's doing, because Diva has to know that if he gets pressured out, he can just fly away.
Yeah.
That is the advantage. You can't do that if you're up there, down there by yourself, trying to push the payload. Oh, you're so dead. Like your teammates are gonna like make this rotation, and then the enemy team is gonna be like yeet, and then they're like, shit, our Ryan is dead, and then they're still trying to make this rotation.
Yeah.
So that's why you only have the Diva for that. In counter dive situations, it's a Torp that we use for that, because the same thing, he can hide under the payload, and when they actually go for our Torp, we just counter dive that. It's so a horrible target to go on.
The reason we do the Torb over the Diva is because so the Torb would be almost as a bait of a sort, because I mean as a dive, like if you're playing dive, you would like if you see a Torb on the point by himself, I mean it looks pretty promising. But then in other situations we do the Diva because Torb's got more value on the high ground.
Yeah, because you want
and
a
Diva
turret
can
up
just
here.
Get up there with the flyer.
Like a turret you want up here, you want turret up here or here, one of those three positions. And then you want 20 to be one of those three positions. Like you want him to get value. You want him to spam.
Yeah.
Over here he can't do that. Over here he is just hiding. His turret is gonna go down every second, and like there's no point.
Yeah. Okay.
So the Torp is when we have counter dive, the Torp is on payload, because if they dive a Torp, he will press E and he suddenly becomes a fucking tank, which is not something dive likes to dive. Because it would be silly. But against Brawl, you don't want a Torp up there, because then they would just chase him into the fucking end of the world. Like Torp can't survive that.
Yeah.
So that's how you have to understand how Torp is a spam hero.
Okay.
So you understand the defensive advantage, but you struggle with getting through that, and it was especially apparent on second point. Like second point was yeah. Like look at 20 and Dizzy. Well, Zach. Look at 20 and Zach.
Right. Yeah.
Are they set up?
No.
Are you going to let them?
Well, we have to try, but I mean, I see now. This is why the whole church thing wouldn't work, because I mean, we couldn't even let them set up.
Yeah. Like, what value do you get with your other heroes if they're not even gonna do have enough space for them to do their job? Yeah, sure, here you have the spam advantage, but I've made it very clear that I want, well, sure it's Zach now, but I want Dizzy on the high grounds, right? I've made that very clear. Like, you were there as well, like when I told Dizzy that I want him to have high ground control. So what do you think Dizzy would have done in this situation?
Flown up to high ground? If he...
Controlling the high ground. And then he will most likely have destroyed the enemy Torp's turret, which is getting a lot of value. And then, well, the shadow is whatever.
Wait, so you're saying instead of all of us rotating right side up, we can maybe just have Dizzy going up?
It depends. Like, on what they were doing, Dizzy was enough. But what they were doing at the start...
Yeah. But I mean, didn't they kind of feed by dropping?
Yeah, they did.
Like, if you played a better team,
enemy was bad.
they'll have a lot more. Yeah.
Like in a normal situation, what would have happened here is they would have sent the diva down, and if you tried to contest that, they could drop the down behind you and then full on pincer move your ass.
Mm.
You will be very dead.
But I mean,
Like,
even then, they could just spam that out anyway.
yeah, like that turret was getting a lot of value because it was in a good angle, which we just never could manage to take care of. Zach actually did boop them off, but the other two didn't.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Ash could still stay up there, but she decided to drop.
Yeah. So that wasn't too bad, but that is how you want to approach this. Like, that shadow she should have blocked, but whatever. Because now they still have this advantage. The reason I like Baptiste, you very much know, because he can rotate between high and low ground.
Yeah.
You can ignore the DMs. This is when I was finalizing the patch notes and figuring out what to do with them.
In this scenario, isn't their spam better than ours?
Yeah, it is. That's why. What made I made you do on first point?
Yeah, I see. Maybe go
Short
for rotation.
rotations where you don't use a lot of resources, but you do push the payload far enough so that it is in a position where they actually have to fight for it. Enemy
Would
is
it have been
currently fully down.
better? Yeah. Would it have been better if we went for a rotation all the way right up onto high ground and then
Yeah,
forced
what
them
the
off?
enemy did. Force this high
Yeah,
ground and then be like, oh man, we have a Tor, we have an Ashe, we have a Diva. Now what do? Okay, so the Diva goes down. Diva touches payload, just like first point. Now they have to do something about it. What is the advantage the payload has? The payload is nice and outside.
Yeah.
We can heal because we have 2 long range healers. And we have control. So that means right now they will be in an extremely bad position, just like how we were in an extremely bad position when they did it against us.
Okay, so the reason why it's fine to do that, like a long rotation as opposed to, is because of the cover, right? The cover it provides,
Yeah.
and
they can't do much against you when you make a rotation.
Yeah, if let's say we were in like, okay, the scenario we were in, but when we were on defense and they push that out, do we rather back up the high ground or do we drop as well?
You change positions. You go from
so obviously
the
you have to
defensive
counter
side.
it.
Yeah, you go from the defensive side to the offensive side, which is fine.
Okay.
That just means like this is still the key part.
Yeah.
And this is still inside, right? Like you can put some supports up here.
Yeah.
You could have 20 like crossfire here and shoot on that angle, and then you could be inside of here well, and then this could be here, and then you could rotate in between. And you have healing and everything. In the end,
and then you would be playing. You would be playing just to make sure that you manage your resources properly, and you play for them to drop then. And when they're first point, then you push that.
Exactly. Like eventually, someone has to touch the damn point.
Yeah.
And if they don't, you'll be like, okay, well, that's fine with us. Just waste your time, dude. We don't mind.
And even if like a diva just drops, we can always just force her out and then re-stabilize.
Yeah, but even then, like what I said, with 20's off angle, with 20's skill.
Oh yeah. He can just pop tap.
He could pop the high ground, and then it could give them pressure. So that means they would now focus here. That gives you the opportunity to go in, because there's less damage on you.
Less pressure. Yeah.
Yeah, so that is, like, I understand that you wanted to go under, but you just have to understand that there's too much space you're giving away. They'll just be like, LOL. In reality, you should have gone dive here. But because you had ults, you didn't want to, so then you have to make a fight matter. And actually take a fight for ults. Because that's what you're doing, right? Like, you... One sec. I have to mute my fiance. She's gonna kill me for it, but whatever. Rotation, yeah. So this rotation, it wasn't bad, but because they still could go here and have this spam, and if you were to touch the point, they'll full on spam that. Like, that's the biggest point here. You have to touch the payload.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's the thing, like, this is what I'm teaching you as well. I want that payload forward. And as long as you face teams that won't stop you from doing that, I'm okay with that. You can even feed your brains out. Because if they don't stop it, it means you're gonna go to get that full thing within 5 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, so it's not necessarily... Okay, because I think I got a little confused. So it's not necessarily playing for the payload. I mean, wait. It's not necessarily playing, like, on payload, but playing for the payload. So it's like... taking space that you can use to move the payload pretty much.
Yeah, it's
Because
mostly
I think my first understanding was just like, okay, well, like I need to play on the payload now, so I need to go to payload kind of thing. That was kind of
yeah.
just what I was.
That is what we started with because I
Yeah,
needed to start
yeah,
somewhere.
yeah.
I'm making it more
But now it's
difficult now.
more. Yeah, yeah. No, I think I understand it now.
Yeah, like we all have to start somewhere, and like I said at the start, when I very first came in, I start with the basics. I had to start with elementary stuff.
Yeah,
Right now, I would say like you're in middle school.
yeah,
That is what we're at now, theory wise. So that means we've done this entire thing. Now we need to control space in order to ensure that this happens.
yeah.
And then you need to assign someone that will do it, and that is usually the diva.
As in playing for point pressure. Diva drops
Exactly.
down, Diva comes back up. Okay, okay.
Like
Sure.
you have still the CD, which is the counter dive strategy, which if enemies don't adjust to that, then it's free,
Mm.
which is fine. Like I don't mind that if there's still bad enemies out there that fall for it for some reason. But it's a very basic concept, and it worked against quite a lot of teams. But eventually,
Yeah,
it stops working. Like you saw it yourself in
yeah.
OD.
So then, if we're still playing the counter dive with the monkey, then we would just be instead of just sitting on payload doing who knows like nothing pretty much and waiting for them to come in, we would like soft diving high grounds. Would
Mm-hmm.
that be a way to force out a rotation?
Yeah, you will be soft diving the high ground. You would be trying to control
Yeah,
this. You would be trying to force resource, and if they drop down, you would have people below there that will deal with that.
yeah. So let's say in this scenario, okay, I don't know. Actually, I don't think it'll work in this scenario. But let's say if I switch to the monkey
Yeah.
and me and Diva just went up and we tried to take high ground with 20, maybe if we force them down, would that have
Mm-hmm.
been better, or would we still been punished up for that? I feel like in this
Um,
scenario, they still had a lot of like they had the Sigma, they had the Ryan, so they had a lot of point pressure. Like we couldn't really
well,
clear
like you
off the
already
point.
saw, the enemy wasn't that good, so it kind of depends on the enemy.
Yeah,
And that's why I need you to just do it. Like the ideas you're
yeah,
getting now from this, just do it. Fuck up,
yeah,
learn. Like
yeah,
learn why those things work or why they don't work. In this scenario, it would have worked. And the reason is quite simple because as you saw, Zach just simply pooped them off and it just gave it to you. But
yeah,
because we never did anything with it, Ash went back again.
yeah,
That's the thing. Like we need that control, but because we didn't utilize the fact that we got it, it becomes a problem. So
yeah,
we had around 4 minutes to attack this, but we're going nowhere. Like look at how they're just contesting this payload. They're not allowing it to go too much forward, but if we force some resources because of our ults, they'll give us a little bit of resources, right?
But I mean, we used 3 ults, and I don't
Yeah.
think we got any.
No, you didn't. But it's because of the map geometry. Like
Yeah, because we
they are
didn't.
controlling so much that you don't have a Lucio either. That's a very key important here. Like you don't have a Lucio. You can't speed on that. What are you gonna do if you can't speed on that?
Yeah.
And then eventually
So
they
I
build
think
ults.
okay. So I gotta like the comp we're actually playing is more spam. It's not brawl
It
in this
is spam.
situation.
Like if you have spam DPS, you're playing spam.
Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't matter if you have brawl tanks. You're playing spam. It just turns into brawl when the opportunity allows it. That's the
Yeah. I
reason you
see.
will play brawl tanks. That is what you should have done with the comp I gave you a while ago as well. But it's fine if you don't understand at the start. But eventually we have to get there.
Yeah.
So this is the next step. This is the next step towards working on what we have. And this is purely payload, obviously, because I was not very happy with our payload performance.
Yeah.
Of course, it did work on Gibraltar against that 4.4k team, which ended top 15. Not too bad. They
But I
sucked.
mean, if you want to go to contenders, yeah, you're gonna be
Yeah, like
better.
these strategies, they work up to a certain level, which is very easy for me to coach. Like up to tier 3, it's very easy. Like this doesn't take me a lot of effort because of how basic it is. But eventually I'm going to go more in depth. And then it's about
Yeah.
how good you will follow up with what I'm teaching. And then obviously it's also on my side on if I'm teaching you the right way. Because that's also a key thing, obviously. But eventually this is what I am looking to do. Because obviously this is all me, right? Like I am now sending you into the direction of how I want this team to play.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to like adjust to a playstyle that I want you to do. Because here, what I've already said is because of your ping disadvantage, I want you to very much play with a sheeted blade and only draw when necessary. And that's why
So
I
you're not
very much
taking
focus on the
you're not
stats.
taking the 50-50 fights. You're taking the fights that are like literally you're gonna win most likely.
Yeah,
Like the 80 was like 80-20 or like 60-40.
yeah, something like that. Those are fights that we could much more capitalize on with our ping disadvantage. Because you do have to realize that, for example, I am a player that played with 20 ping. 19 to 20. That was my stable ping in scrims. That means you have 10 times higher the ping of me. That is quite a severe difference if I was to be the Reinhardt. Because that Reinhardt would completely fuck with you.
Yeah.
And it becomes very difficult for you to like properly utilize your kit. For example, there are some shadows you should have blocked, but in some scenarios, it's just the ping doesn't allow you to.
Yeah.
It is just so delayed that your reaction isn't fast enough in comparison to the ping, and you can't win that. Like I can't
So then
have
you must
you
make sure
win ping.
you have So you kind of just play it so there's not even an equation. Like for instance, if you take the high ground in this scenario, you can't like shadow you up a wall kind of thing. So I mean, you avoid that like problem in the beginning.
Yeah. Of course, eventually, like the end goal with this team is obviously to go overseas, and then you will have good ping, and then I will make you play super fucking aggressive because that's my original playstyle. That's how I created Hyper Brawl.
Yeah.
Like my end goal as a coach, obviously, is I'm a super aggressive coach. Like I go all in. It's all or nothing. That is my end stance. So you would go for like fights where you have a 10% chance of winning, and if you then win, it'd be like, damn, it's actually possible.
Yeah.
But that is for far in the future. Like right now, we're still in the steps of where we are guaranteed to win fights. And that is how we win tournaments, because the teams we're facing are not that impressive.
Yeah.
It could be a rude thing to say, but that's just reality. Like I've seen the tier 3C myself, and my shot calling was more than enough to make these people look like idiots.
Yeah.
That is just the way it is. Like tier 2 is a whole different show. Like tier 2 is fucking difficult. But that's our end goal.
Yeah.
And then everything I'm teaching you now should already be in your foundation. So even if you see this opportunity in a tier 2 game, you should still fully utilize it. Those fights in tier 2 are over in seconds. Whereas this fight takes very, very long. You see the difference between like high tier play and low tier based on how fast a game pace is and how many fights they can take for the payload. Like in tier 2, they could probably squeeze in 7 fights if they wanted to, with the amount of time you had. Yeah, you had 5 minutes, probably even more. They could probably take an 8. That is high pace Overwatch. That is split decision making. That is understanding everything. So all these foundations I'm building right now, eventually you have to understand all of it, and then we're going more and more and more advanced. And then you have to understand all of that, and then we're going to be at the level where everything is just split decisions, all of it.
Yeah.
And obviously at that stage you need good internet, because that has to end somewhere. Sadly, nothing I can do about that. Like ping in the end is still very determining factor on how we play. Like Argon, for example, was a super aggressive team. Like my ball Zoya comp, right?
Yeah.
You can't play this. It's impossible. I don't see you succeed with the ping differences, especially with your shot calling, which is like a few seconds delay.
Yeah.
Like these are all split-second decisions and all very fast communication, because this step needs to be communicated super fast and needs to be acted on super fast. Our ping and our delays already disable this. We can't react super fast because we can't. It's just our ping doesn't allow us. So when I see you go super fast on Blizzard Bolt, I get very upset.
So okay, I see now. So that's why we must play like a little more set up kind of thing. So
yeah,
like
right now we're very staging. Like we're a very staging kind of team. Like we take our time to completely draw our blade when necessary, and we strike to kill.
Yeah, I see now.
And sure, it's nice if 20 pops off, and sure, it's nice if someone else pops off, but in the end, it's a team game.
Yeah, I mean, but I understand now because like for instance, if I look at yesterday's scrum, I can like visually see every time I did it wrong because of understanding this now.
Yeah, that's why I like doing VOD reviews after scrims, but such is life. Then again, these one-on-ones are probably enough for you guys to get much further as well. I've told Lazy to talk to you about his momentum theory, because he's gonna have to do some things that overrule the shot caller, and he needs your permission for that. So you
Cool.
need to find have a word or something where you just fully trust on him.
Yeah. Okay.
It's very
I'll
very
talk to him
specific.
after this then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can even go and watch the video together on momentum theory.